Good morning, dear judges, contest officials, and contestants. My name is Shamishka, and I will be the contester for the school's category evaluation contest. Welcome to the final round of the evaluation competition of Enliven 2021 All Island Humorous Speech and Speech Evaluation Competition organized by the Gavel Club of University of Colombo. The Gavel Club of University of Colombo is an affiliate of Toastmasters International, and we focus on the enhancement of leadership and public speaking skills in the English language among university undergraduates. Enliven 2021 is a biennial competition that is being held for the third time with the contestants from schools and universities across the island. Owing to the current pandemic situation in the country, we decided to hold Enliven 2021 on a Zoom platform. We have successfully completed the preliminary and semi-final rounds and arrived at the final round of evaluation competition of Enliven 2021. Out of around 200 participants, we have narrowed the competition down to 12 contestants, 6 each from university and school categories. Now, please pay attention to the following. The eligibility criteria for the school contestants are as follows. The contestant must be a school student of age 13 years and 20 years by the 31st of January 2021. At the beginning of this contest, a test speech will be presented. Contestants are allowed to make preparatory notes during the test speech, and at the conclusion of the test speech, all the contestants will be given 5 minutes to prepare their evaluation. After 5 minutes elapse, no further preparation is allowed, and all the contestants must turn their papers upside down and remain in the main session. Contestants must keep their webcams on and audio on from the time the test speech concludes till they give their evaluation. Thereafter, in the main session, they must move away from their notes and stand further so that the notes and the contestants are clearly visible to the contest sergeant at arms. According to the order of speaking, contestants will be requested to leave the main session and log into the judges panel where they will present their evaluation. Contestants will be permitted to use their notes only after they are invited to present their evaluations. The remaining contestants must continue to stay under the supervision of contest sergeant at arms. Note that stepping away from your computer or laptop or mobile phone while in the breakout room without alerting the sergeant at arms allocated to you will run the risk of you being qualified from the contest. Timing will begin with the contest's first definite verbal or non-verbal communication with the audience. The speech time must be between 2 minutes and 3 minutes. If the speech falls short of 1 minute and 30 seconds or exceeds 3 minutes and 30 seconds, the speaker will be disqualified. A green signal will be displayed at 2 minutes and will remain displayed for 30 seconds. A yellow signal will be displayed at 2 minutes and 30 seconds and will remain displayed for 30 seconds. A red signal will be displayed at 3 minutes and will remain displayed until the conclusion of the speech. If a contestant experiences a technical malfunction, such as a power failure, or a fault in their devices, that contestant will be reassigned to the last position in the order of speaking and will be given the opportunity to deliver their speech as the last speaker. The contestants who become the winner, first runner-up, second runner-up, will be announced at the grand finale that will be happening in the afternoon at 1 p.m. So now let's have a quick word from our sponsors. I would now like to direct the university category contestants to join waiting room number 1 until the school category contestants are done with their evaluations. Now it's time to start the school's competition. After the test speech, I will be calling each of you in a predetermined order. So the order of speaking of the contestants are as follows. Contestant number 1, Anusari Petiagoda. Contestant number 2, Omar Hasari. Contestant number 3, Joseph Ryan Pereira. Contestant number 4, Yusuf Hasari. Contestant number 5, Jayami Usara Samarkon. Contestant number 6, Atiq Ul Rahman. Let us welcome Toastmaster Shani Kunasekara, who will be conducting the test speech. Toastmaster, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Timer, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Toastmaster Shani Kunasekara, count me in. Count me in, Toastmaster Shani Kunasekara.
People come into our lives in numerous ways. Some at the wrong time some at the right time but the wrong people, some we can count on, while some who let us down. Contestia, ladies and gentlemen, there is a group of people that I met in my life, and I always cherish the moments that I had with them. Let me take you back in time to 2030. I was right after my GCE ordinary level examination. Well, all of us were on a break, but school decided us to return back immediately. To see, we were asked to do an individual project based on any subject we liked. As a very strong competitor, the electrifying factor for me was the award which was to be awarded for the best project. There were no there was no criteria regarding the award. So the search began for topics. I looked for options, I called organizations, and even had talks with my rich uncles for some topics. In the meantime, my friend Michelle and I were asked to report to the vice principal's office. We knew we were in trouble, but back in our heads, we were trying to figure out what went wrong. With guilt built upon us, we went into the office. And our vice principal said, "Girls, come in." So there is a project, and volunteers who can swim are needed. Would you all like to take part in it? Uh, yes, sure, miss. Well, if you want, you can even do it as an individual project. Thrilled by the search of the topics was over, me and my friend Michelle took over the task. The Differently Able Swimming Program was conducted by the Candlelight Lanka Charity Organization, headed by Captain Elmo Jayawardena. The objective of this project is to teach visually, speech, and even hearing impaired children to swim 25 meters on their own. These children were from the Ceylon Deaf and Blind School in Ratmalana. The target was to teach them to swim on their own. Lessons were conducted both Tuesdays and Thursdays at the Candlelight Pool at St. Sebastian's College, Moratua. The swimming coach was present, while volunteers like us, were called extra eyes, were there to add a safety hand. My fellow Toastmasters, would you believe a visually impaired child swimming 25 meters alone? Well, I had the same doubt. Even I took so many years to become a confident swimmer. To witness this, along with our parents, we traveled to Moratua. We were warmly welcomed by the coordinator of the program, Miss Inakshi, and was the instructor to get into the pool. The coach asked us to help the children move around the water, help them understand what it feels like to be in water, to balance themselves, and many more. These children touched us and knew who each and every one was. And I felt very comfortable hanging around with them. During the breaks, we talked to each other because every one of them had different stories to share. I felt loved. I opened up as well and told them about myself. And I felt that I could count on them at any time. Time passed. It was time for the first batch that I got encountered with to complete their final day. A bell was rung at the shallow end, and the students were asked to swim from the deep end to the shallow end, listening to that sound. My fellow Toastmasters, I was in tears to see these determined children trying to complete 25 meters. It was difficult indeed. They crashed into each other, got themselves entangled in the lane rope, but they never gave up. All of them completed 25 meters successfully and were over the moon. We were privileged enough to witness 2 such batches, and I enjoyed every single moment with them. We learned sign language, comforted children when they got scared and hid themselves in the washrooms. I had memories where even I got slapped on the face trying to save children from drowning. Yet, seeing them achieve their goal was very satisfying. This satisfaction, which I gained, created a passion in me for volunteering. I think volunteering was a key to the door of happiness of mine, a key to open the door of happiness to these children as well. It was a two-way street. They say volunteers are not paid, not because they are worthless, but because they are priceless. This was a platform which allowed us to promote goodness and improve human quality of life. I was a person who tends to isolate myself at attended work, but volunteering helped me to develop my socializing skills, and now that I have developed it, I can move on with any crowd that I encounter with. The prize that I was referring to before, I never won it. But this experience was the prize that I did win. We think that friendships, relationships, and even materialistic things can make us happy, to be loved and to feel secure. Sometimes they break, they fail, disappointing us. But by showering our love with those in need through volunteering, we receive what we need in multiples. Volunteering has never disappointed me. It was indeed a blessing in disguise and always made my life a better place. So, my fellow Toastmasters, here I am ready to let you know that you can count on me whenever you are in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. Over to you.
Everybody, please turn on your videos. Your time is up. Please stop writing. Now you will be directed to a waiting room from which you will be called back into the main session to deliver your evaluation. We can start the session now. Now let us welcome contestant number 1, Anusari Petiagoda. Contestant, am I audible to you?
Yes, you are.
Judges, are you ready?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Timer, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Contestant, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Contestant, now you can start your evaluation.
When I heard your speech today, hey, 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 it's a beautiful day. Contestant Toastmaster Shari Gunasekara, you made my day very beautiful with your spicy speech. To make your speech very spicy, you had 2 points to help you: confidence and storyteller. Number 1, confidence. You had a very good attire and a smile and a posture. And when you smile at the very beginning, people feel more connected to you and you are no longer a stranger to us. Number 2, storyteller. You are a very good storyteller. You created vivid imagery on our minds. And when you had the conversation with your friend principal, you changed your position and your voice and the tone and even your face. And it made me definitely interested in your speech really well. Now your speech is very spicy, but as the evaluator, now I will give you my humble opinion on how to add the final flavoring. Number 1, stage usage. Now, what my advice is, stop moving from side to side while you talk. And what you can do is instead divide your speech and also your space according to your camera into 3 main parts, and first point, second point, third point, and come back to the middle and conclude your speech. Number 2, positioning of the camera. Now for this, I feel the camera should have been positioned in a such way that your entire body could have been seen. Because your body was not seen and your body movements, hand gestures could have not been seen to the audience. And I feel this could have been a negative point. Number 3, zoom background. Now you asked very, you used a very wide background, very wide zoom background, and it was obviously a way that you were helped. But I felt at some points it backfired because it was crossing with from your actual face. Now I know that this is a virtual this thing, and also this is not your fault. But next time, what you can do is instead we use technology. You can be very careful, and instead what you can do is use a white ball. So in summation, Toastmaster Shani Gunasekara, you had regularization confidence, unbelievable energy levels, and hand gestures could have not been seen because of the white background. And also, voice variation was great, and your opening and the closing was superior, and eye contact was great because I think you were looking at the camera very frequently, and we felt that you were looking at, and I felt that you were looking at me. And like I mentioned before, just work on those little points like stage usage and positioning of the camera. You can be a very great speaker. Over to you.
Now let us give 1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballots.
Excuse me, ma'am. Can you give me 1 second? I'll have to move places there to say my speech. Hello.
One minute has elapsed. So let's welcome contestant number 2, Omar Hasari. Contestant, am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Contestant,
Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Contestant, can you see the timer's cards?
No, ma'am. Yes, I could see it now.
Judges, are we ready to proceed?
Yes, of course.
Timer, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Contestant, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Contestant, now you can start your evaluation.
John Ford once said, "You are a great speaker if your tongue delivers the message of your heart." And that's exactly what I felt with your message today, Gavilier Shani. First off, you had the great points in your speech. So let me dive straight into them. First off was your content. You came up here and gave us a very structured yet simple content where you came up here and gave your beginning of your speech, which was very thought-provoking. And where you mentioned about other people's attributes, which caught our attention right from the very beginning. Then moving on to your body of your speech, it was peppered with personal stories and personal experiences, which even I could relate sometimes in my life. And I felt that that was really helpful. And even at that moment, I wanted to go out and volunteer somewhere. Then you ended off with a song which really loosened up the matter and the content in your speech and brought it really interesting for us. Now, moving on to the next great speech was your gestures and your facial expressions. I always noticed that throughout your speech, you used to scrunch your eyebrows when it was needed and used to open them wide when there was frightening moments or the great experiences in your lives. And another thing I noticed in your speech was that you always had open hand gestures. And ladies and gentlemen, notice that open hand gestures brings you closer to the audience, whereas closed hand gestures will take you a bit away from the audience. So job well done on the open hand gestures. I really enjoyed it. Now moving on to the next great point in your speech, and probably the most important thing in your speech was your key message, where you came here up and said, never focus on the materialist things in your life, but treasure those memories. And a lot of us can learn from it today. Ladies and gentlemen, remember that to have a simple yet thoughtful message in your speech is probably the most important thing you will consider when writing your Toastmaster speech. Now, let me move into the places where you could tweak it a little bit next time. And that is your pauses. Sometimes I noticed you were too fast. For instance, where you said, there are some people who we meet at the right time, but they are the wrong people. You could have said it as, sometimes there are people who we meet at the right time, but they are the wrong people. It would have given more impact. So let me summarize. You had a great content, clear opening, body and end. You had great hand gestures, open-handed, and you had a great key message. Where you could tweak it a little bit next time will be your places where you say pausing, and that is probably the most important thing. Over to you.
Now let us give 1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballots. One minute has elapsed. So now we are admitting the next contestant. Now let us welcome contestant number 3, Joseph Ryan Pereira. Contestant, am I audible to you? Contestant, am I audible to you? Contestant, your mic is muted.
I'm so sorry about that.
It's okay. Can you see the timer's card?
Yes, I can.
Can you move to a bit front so you can be more audible?
But he has to be visible. He has to be visible.
Judges, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, we are ready, but he has to focus himself first.
Contestants, can you speak for like 5 seconds continuously? Contestants, can you speak for like 5 seconds continuously to make sure you are audible for us?
Yes, I will. Am I audible now?
Go to your speaking location and speak for like 5 seconds.
Okay. Am I audible now, sir?
Yeah, you're okay. You can go.
Thank you.
Contestant, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Timer, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Contestant, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Contestant, now you can start your evaluation.
There's a saying that evaluation is a winner's breakfast. Madam Contestant, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to give our star, Shani, a grand breakfast to take her win to a championship. So let's get into business right away. I liked your speech and I liked it very much. And the main reason was your ability of vivid storytelling. You painted pictures with your words. And because of this, you had us, you had the audience with you from the beginning. For instance, when you spoke about how you and your friend went into the principal's office, I was here sitting down, but at the same time at my school, contemplating with you at the principal's office. And that ability made your speech really successful. Also, another thing that made your speech great was your great vocal variety. Well, I don't have to tell you how good you were, but here's what I think, that your speech was excellent because you varied your pitch when necessary. And also, you were speaking at a good pace, not far too slow, and you were audible. And also, you did everything possible to make the speech interesting. You played with your voice. You even sang. And that was great. And we really enjoyed it. And I think that your speech was great because of that too. And thirdly, I liked your speech a lot because of your gestures. Your facial expressions were prominent and the emotion was conveyed to us. And we were able to travel with you. When you were sad, we were sad. And another thing that maximized this effect was your eye contact. Even this was an online platform, you looked directly at the camera and therefore through us, through our hearts, and you had us on a journey. And I really liked that in you, and I think it was great. My goal is to make you a champion. And I think that, in my humble opinion, that these recommendations will help you to get a better speech. The first one is, I personally felt that the message you were talking about came out a bit late because I was wondering of what you were saying in the beginning. Because first I was wondering if you were talking about friends in the beginning and then about not giving up because you were talking about volunteering and different disabled children volunteering, and I was stuck there. So if you could bring up your message, at least draw a parallel from the beginning of what you're trying to say at the end, that would be great. Also, you should have give priority on your stage usage and performance. I did not see a part of your body, for instance, above here, and therefore I wasn't able to interact with you fully. And also, I recommend that you would move about a little bit rather than positioning yourself and slightly inclining yourself. And in summary, I really loved your speech because you were a great storyteller. You had great interactions and great vocal variety. And I would humbly recommend that you do not bring your message out late, but rather draw parallel from the beginning and use your stage to its maximum. And you will be that champion you deserve. Thank you very much.
Now, let us observe 1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballots.
Ma'am, am I audible and visible?
One minute has elapsed. Now let us welcome contestant number 4, Yusuf Hasari. Contestant, am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see the timers?
Yes, ma'am.
Judges, are you ready?
Yes, madam.
Okay. Timer, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Contestant, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am, I'm ready.
Okay. Contestant, now you can start your evaluation.
Thank you, ma'am. There are some speakers who speak to our minds. We remember them. But there are some speakers who speak to our hearts, and they change our lives. That's exactly what happened to me with you today, Cavalier. Now let me dive straight in to the plus points you had in your speech. Number one, your content. Now, Cavalier, you started off with a very attention-grabbing beginning, which you begin with telling us that there are some people who we can rely on and count on, and some people who we can't. And then your body of the speech was peppered with personal experiences and stories, which made us be able to relate to the topic, which was very efficient. And then you had your ending, which was very memorable because it loosened up us and it soothed us down when you ended with that song. Number two, your message. Now, Cavalier, you had a very good message, which is one of the most important things you need to have when you're delivering a public speaking speech, because you do not need to remember those bad things, but you have to cherish your memories. Number three, your body language. Ladies and gentlemen, notice how Cavalier Shani brought in her body language very efficiently. Because, for instance, when she said those children kept crashing into one another, she did different actions. And then her facial expressions were also very good. For instance, when she was happy and when she was training those children to swim, her face just brightened up and her eyebrows were raised. And when she was sad, it got scrunched up. Now, moving on to the places where you could improve, in my opinion. Number one, your voice. Now, Cavalier, your voice was a bit monotonous and did not vary throughout the speech. And that's why you could have used the 3 P's, which is pitch, pace, and power, and could have variated your voice in a few places. For instance, when you became your vice principal. And then a place where you could improve was your stage crafting. Now, what I noticed, Cavalier Shani, was that you stood in one place throughout the speech. And if you used your entire stage, it would have been brilliant. For instance, in your vice principal's room, in one place, and when you were training those children in another place, and you're ending in another place. In summary, you had an amazing content, and your message was very clear, and your body language was also very good. And in my opinion, you could have improved on your voice variation and your stage crafting. Well done, and I wish you best of luck for your future speeches. Over to you.
Now let us give 1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballots. One minute has elapsed. Now let us welcome contestant number 5, Jayami Usara Samarakon. Contestant, am I audible to you?
Yes.
Contestant, can you see the timer's cards?
Yes.
Judges, are you ready?
Yes, please go ahead.
Timer, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Contestant, are you ready?
Yes.
Contestant, now you can start your evaluation.
Honorable panel of educators, intellectual audience, and especially Miss Shani. Today, you confirm that speech is a power, speech can persuade, to convert, and to compel. Just imagine a small plant grows slowly with water, light, air, and manure. Day by day, it grows by spreading its gorgeous branches, telling that, hey man, just look at me. Can you see how marvelous I am? Your speech is just like that. You forced ourselves to stop and think a while. From the very first second, you dragged us towards you. Just like manure created small plant into a gorgeous tree. Facial expressions, quotes, verses, gestures, vocal variations created some birds into a great speech. So let me explain how we made us feel. First, I should tell that your speech was very well organized and it had a smooth flow. From your speech, we could separately identify the beginning, the body, and the conclusion. Do you know what is the biggest challenge for a public speaker? It is to grab the attention of the audience. The next challenge is to keep a good connection with the audience. I think you won both challenges from your powerful beginning. When you were delivering, we couldn't think of anything else. It's just like we were immersing in your speech. The content was very important. You explained it in an interesting way. Your speech is not like a formal speech, but it was an interesting story. In that story, you have developed several characters. You made them live through dialogues. When you were telling dialogues, you acted accordingly. It is really amazing. When you were acting, we could create imaginary scenes of them. You use appropriate facial expressions at the appropriate moments. They created a big variety. You use different gestures at appropriate moments. Your speech is not monotonous because there were many vocal variations. You had a pleasant voice, you change your volume, tone appropriately. They created auditory imagery. While delivering the speech, you kept pauses when it is needed. Your speech is not just a collection of words, there were different emotions in it. Sometimes it was very serious, sometimes so funny, sometimes happy, sad, victorious, disappointing, or broken. But these mixture of feelings created a great story rather than a speech. Your explanations were clear. Actually, you were an eye-opener to view our lives in a different perspective. You stressed on the main points. You were not nervous. You were very confident. Everything was just fine. So let me suggest some more tips you to become a great public speaker. Actually, this is not a weakness since this is an organization, so there are several barriers. But in public, you can break those barriers. I mean, you can keep a very good connection with the audience. You can talk to them, you can ask some questions from them, and you can keep a very good eye contact with the audience. And in public place, you can use the whole stage. I mean, you can run, jump, even act on it. It will help you to break the barrier between audience and the speaker. At last, I have to say, really a great job, great work. I think you touch our hearts and hit our brains. Just improve your minor mistakes and become a great public speaker. Thank you. Over to you.
Now let us give 1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballots. One minute has elapsed. Now let us welcome contestant number 6, Atik Ur Rahman. Contestant, am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Contestant, can you see the timer's cards?
Yes, ma'am. Excuse me.
Judges, are you ready?
Yes.
Timer, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Contestant, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Contestant, now you can start your evaluation.
Good speeches are felt in the mind, but great speeches are felt from the heart, and they have a long-lasting effect on you long after they are delivered. We heard a great speech today. Madam Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and of course, Toastmaster Shani Gunasekara. Let me start off by telling 3 points of strength I noticed in your speech today. Point number one was your speech organization. You began your speech with a very strong and a powerful opening, which helped you to align your contents easily. 1, 2, 3, and grab the attention of all of us from the very first moment you began your speech. And your content had a smooth flow, and your conclusion, the conclusion matters because the last impressions are the lasting impressions. Having a poem and a memorable conclusion, having a worthy message, which was very much relevant to all of us, including me, I felt it was of great personal advice to me, and I want to congratulate you for that amazing speech organization. Point number two is your connectivity with the audience. Throughout your speech, using personal stories, personal experiences, you connected with the audience and was able to minimize that gap, minimize that distance between yourself and the audience. And that's the sign of a great speaker, to connect with the audience. And all the points which you brought forward are absorbed by them more thoroughly and more dearly. Why? You're connected with them. You have brought them closer to you. Point number three is your purpose. You achieve the general purpose of your speech by giving out a very inspiring speech and achieve the specific purpose of the speech by implanting an important life lesson which we all can take and add value to our lives. So Toastmaster Shani, your speech was absolutely amazing. But do you want to take your speech to the next level? Yes. In terms of improvement, in my humble opinion, I have two. Point number one is the use of pauses. I believe just like good music happens between the notes, a good speech happens between the pauses. And I recommend you to consider having pause in your speech. For instance, like, I felt loved. I felt I can count on them anytime. Have a pause and then carry on. With that pause in your speech, you create enough room for the audience to sink in what you're trying to tell to them. You give more emphasization to your points. If it was an emotional moment, a sensitive moment, the audience would better feel your emotions. So consider having a pause. Let it sink into the audience. Point number two is your vocal variation. I'd recommend you to consider having vocal variation in your speech. For instance, like, I was in tears to see these determined children. With that vocal variation in your speech, you clue the audience on your feelings, on your emotions, on your meanings, on the speech itself, and magnify the key messages of your speech. In summation, this was an absolutely fantastic speech. Amazing speech organization, wonderful connectivity, and good purpose. Consider my suggestions such as vocal variation and pauses, and I'm sure your next speech would make wonders. I sincerely congratulate the speaker, and my key takeaway today is that follow your passion, find your happiness. And I hope the audience has taken these advices into their hearts and minds as well. Madam Contest Chair, over to you.
Now let us give 1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballots.
Madam, 2 minutes silence.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay. Okay, so now let us observe 2 minutes of silence.
Yes.
2 minutes has elapsed. And that was the last contestant of the school's category competition. So now let me hand over the controls to Gavalier Nipuni to carry out the rest of the competition.
Madam Contest Chair, can we leave this meeting?
Yes, you can leave. School category competitors, right?
Yes, Madam Contest Chair.
Yes, you can leave.
Thank you very much.
Contestant, can we can judges have 5 minutes to discuss some stuff in a breakout room?
Sure, you can. Zoom Master, can you proceed?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. I'll admit you.
Contest chair, we can start the contest. So Master, you can close the breakout room.
Yeah, sure.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nipuni, and I will be the contestant for the university category contest. The eligibility criteria for university contestants are as follows. The contestant must be a member of a state or a private university and below the age of 27 as at 31st of January 2021. The rules and regulations of the contest were mentioned before. After the test speech is done, I will be calling each of you in a predetermined order to deliver your evaluations. The order of speaking of the contestants are as follows. Contestant number 1, Sachit Keragala. Contestant number 2, Subani Anandavadivel. Contestant number 3, Panchani Karunaratna. Contestant number 4, Famida Faiz. Contestant number 5, Raghavi Ratnarajan. Contestant number 6, Anuki Kotwegoda. Let us welcome Toastmaster Nelundi Herat, who will be conducting the test speech. Toastmaster Nelundi Herat, are you ready? Toastmaster Nelundi Herat.
Madam Test Speaker, you are not audible.
Nelundi, you are not audible at the moment. Yeah.
Now?
Yeah, now we are audible. Yes. Can you speak for like 5 seconds, Nelundi?
I'm Nelundi Herat. I'm from KDU Toastmasters and I'm 21 years old. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think you are good to go.
Timer, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Toastmaster Nelundi Herat, a simple step forward. A simple step forward, Nelundi Herat.
As human beings, do you know what our number one fear is? Ladies and gentlemen, it's public speaking, commonly known as stage fright. We fear talking in front of a crowd more than we fear death. Madam Contest Chair, ladies and gentlemen, Dumbledore once said, "It is our choices that show what we really are, far more than our abilities." Why do we get stage fright? It's like there are common reasons like lack of practice, lack of self-confidence, and reflection of past failures. And most importantly, we fear that we will be judged from the people who are in the audience. You get onto that stage, you take a look at the vast sea of the audience, and your mouth gets dry. Your hands begin to shake. Your heart begins to race. Stage fright. and not even imagining the whole audience is in their underwear is going to bring you back from this one. You should not let stage fright get in your way. Stage fright is like a supervillain. When you get onto that stage, stage fright follows you like a shadow. And if you let it get in your way and you take a step back, you will never be recognized. You will lose many opportunities. And most importantly, you will not be able to prove yourself what you're capable of and who you are. So all you have to do is just take a simple step forward and defeat stage fright. We all know Mahatma Gandhi. He's a well-renowned leader. Do you know that once Mahatma Gandhi had bad stage fright too? He was barely able to utter even 2 sentences in public. Once, he was asked to give a speech on behalf of the vegetarian community in London, and he got onto the stage and read only the first 2 lines of his message, and he could no longer speak. So he had to ask someone else to do the speech for him instead. My vision became blurred. I started to tremble, though the speech hardly covered a sheet of foolscap. He recalled. Adele, a speaker that we all love. We love her voice. We love her performances. But do you know, once she had bad stage fright too? One time she projectile vomited on someone. And another time she got so scared, she escaped out of the fire exit. When I was in grade 8, I was asked to give a speech on behalf of my first ever Western music teacher at a farewell function in school. Now, this was my very first public speech. I was so excited. I practiced for days and days and days, and finally, the day of the farewell function arrived. The announcer called my name. I got onto the stage, I took the mic, and I spoke for about 2 minutes, and suddenly I stopped. I couldn't recall anything from my speech. Everyone was just staring at me, and I just stood there. All I could hear was whispering and muttering, and I just stood there with a shaking hand holding the mic. Ladies and gentlemen, that day I could not finish my speech. Mahatma Gandhi chose to override his fears and anxieties. He chose to face his fears. He chose to take a simple step forward and defeat stage fright. Adele became this singer who we all love and adore. She became this great performer. She somehow overcame her fears. She took a simple step forward. Ladies and gentlemen, I could not finish my speech that day. Stage fright beat me. But I decided I will do more speeches. I will face my fears. And after that, every opportunity that I got, I did not let them go because of one bad experience. But I practiced and I did well. And in every speech, I'm proud to say that I finished each and every speech. Ladies and gentlemen, the first step is the hardest in anything. But once you take that, the rest is like a piece of cake. Today, I'm here in front of you all because I chose to face my fears. I chose to overcome my fears and defeat stage fright. And if you choose to do so, one day, when you get onto that stage, stage fright, the supervillain, will not follow you. but rather it will remain backstage and watch you go into the spotlight and conquer your fears like a superhero. It is our choices that show what we really are, far more than our abilities. Choose to take a simple step forward, just a step forward, because one day it will be worth it. Over to you.
Now, everyone will get 5 minutes to conclude your evaluation. Contestants, please turn on your cameras. time is up, please stop writing. You will now be directed to a waiting room, which you will be called back into the main session to deliver your evaluation. Good morning, everyone. We can start the session. Judges, are we ready to proceed?
Hello. Yes, we can.
Now let us welcome contestant number 1, Sachit Keragala. Contestant, am I audible to you?
Yeah, you are audible. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Can you see the timer's cards?
Yes, I can see the timer's cards.
Judges, are you ready? Judges, are you ready?
Yes, we are ready.
Timer, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Contestant, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Contestant, now you can start your evaluation.
Nelundi. Contestant, her topic was a simple step forward. As soon as I heard the topic, all that was in my mind was Neil Armstrong and the moon saying, one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. It's extremely relevant because in our day-to-day training young speakers, it's really hard to get that first step forward, to go over that first hurdle. And afterwards, it's like a dam breaking. You can't stop them speaking. So I really love your topic, and I think it's really relevant to every one of us Toastmasters. I really liked your speech, and now I'm going to tell you why I liked your speech. I'll give you 3 pros and 2 cons. I'll start with the pros. I really loved your speech structure and arrangement. First of all, I saw the triad. A triad is when you have 3 phases consecutively and successively, which subliminally engages the listener towards it. I saw a triad macroscopically as well as microscopically. I saw the microscopic triad when you talked about your gestures on stage. You talked about standing on your stage, no words, and shaking the mic. Macroscopically, you brought out 3 examples, Gandhi, Adele, and yourself. So I saw that rule of 3 everywhere in your speech, and I really commend you for that. Second of all, I really loved the way that you personified your fear. You made your fear a person, took it out of you, and put it backstage. So that personification really helps you understand what fear is and helps you visualize fear as something separate from yourself. And that's a really good tactic of language that you use. Third of all, I really loved your hand gestures. When we usually train speakers, when we see beginner speakers, we see that their hand gestures are not natural. They try to voluntarily move their hands here and there. But in your speech, I saw that your body was resonating to yourself and it was all natural. Now I'll give you a few recommendations, and these aren't really recommendations, but a few obstacles that stand in the way of a good speaker to a great speaker. Your vocal variety. In your vocal variety, we need pace, pitch, emotion, loudness, and pace. I saw a bit of unnecessary pauses here and there, which let the engagement between the listener and the speaker go away for a little bit. So increase your pace a little bit. And the second one is emotion. You're talking about fear and motivation. You need to put more if fear into your voice. You need to make your voice shake a little bit when we're talking about fear and we're talking about motivation. You need to motivate, bring the recommendations. I think that you can take the last step. You talk about the first step, I'm talking about the last step. You have already stepped many steps towards the finish line and you are just a few steps away. So take the last step and be a champion speaker, Nelunti. Over to you.
Now let's give the judges 1 minute of silence to mark their ballots. One minute has now elapsed. We are admitting the next contestant now. Now let us welcome contestant number 2, Subhani Anandavadivel. Contestant, am I audible to you?
Yes, you are.
Can you see the timer's cards?
Yes.
Judges, are you ready?
Yes, please.
Timer, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Contestant, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Contestant, now you can start your evaluation.
I'm empathized by your speech, Nelundi, because I have stage fear, but I'm taking my simple step forward to give you my evaluations. Contestant, ladies and gentlemen, Nelundi, what I love the most about your speech is the use of the rhetorical devices, the quotes that supported your message. The quotes of Dumbledore and Mahatma Gandhi, where you mention that choices make us who we are more than our ability. We may or may not be good in public speaking, but it is our choice to take a simple step forward to go for it. And those quotes did support your message. And secondly, what I loved about your speech most is the speech purpose, your message, where you said that public speaking is the biggest fear. We fear that over our death. And the first step is the hardest for us. And this message, I could connect with me because personally, I have fear in public speaking. So this message was very timely, and thank you for that. Thirdly, what I loved about your speech is your eye contact. Now we know that unlike in a physical platform, in a virtual speech competition, you've got to see at one point the camera, and it's a bit hard, but you maintained it throughout the speech, and that helped to build a connection with me. Nelunthi, if I could suggest you some points of improvements for your speech, first thing is that I felt that you could have been a bit more dramatic. Like the part that you said, your mouth gets dried, your hand shook, and your heart beats faster when you want to give a speech. I felt that you raised your voice, but at such a situation, you're frightened. You could have acted it out like your mouth gets dry and hand shakes and the heart beats. You could have shown that to us. So I would have felt what you went through when you were delivering your first speech. My second point of recommendation for you is that now you did have your personal story, but what I felt is you could have paid more attention or weightage to your personal story. Now you had the story of Dumbledore, you had the story of Mahatma Gandhi. So more than giving more time and attention to their stories, if you could have paid more attention to your story, that would have helped me connect with you emotionally, plus it would have given the authenticity to your speech, right? So all in all, I loved your speech, Nelunthi. I love the use of rhetorical devices, the quotes that you used, which supported the message. And the speech purpose where you said that public speaking is a fear that all of us have, and you connected with us so well, and the eye contact that you maintain throughout the speech. And to this amazing speech, if I could add in points of recommendation, that would be, you could have been a bit more dramatic. So you could have helped me picture what you wanted me to. And secondly, you could have paid more weightage to your personal story than referring to other people's stories. So all in all, it was an amazing speech, Nelundi. Good luck to many more speeches to inspire your listeners. Over to you, contest chair.
Now let's give the judges 1 minute of silence to mark the ballots. One minute has now left. We are admitting the next contestant now. Now let us welcome contestant number 3, Panchani Karunaratna. Contestant, am I audible to you?
Yes, you are.
Contestant, can you see the timer's cards?
Yes, I can.
Judges, are you ready?
Yes, we are ready.
Timer, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Contestant, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Contestant, now you can start your evaluation.
Contest chair, my dear Nelundi, you indeed are a fighter. You proved it throughout your speech. Firstly, you are an amazing storyteller. Nelundi, when you spoke about Mahatma Gandhi's recall, you were literally living on your stage. You were a speaker who could take me from where I was seated to where you wanted me to be. The second thing I loved about your speech was the rhetorical devices that you used. You are a fine craftsman of words. I saw 4 beautiful A's in sight: alliteration, amplification, allusion, and analogy. Vast sea. Stage fright is like a supervillain. Step forward. Piece of cake. These things gave your speech light, just as you are today to this contest. A good speaker always has a good message. Nelundi, your message inspired me. Face your fears. Prove yourself who you are. That key message was perfectly in line with the rest of your content. Simply, your speech was like a delicious pizza. Let's add some more cheese to it, because who doesn't like a cheesy pizza? Nelundi, I wish you used your body language more, as you should get delightful and cheerful, excited when you got the very first public speaking opportunity. The punch of the speech you had at the beginning was a bit decreasing with the lack of your body language. I would suggest you to practice your delivery in front of a mirror in order to take your speech from good to great. And Nelali, you had a powerful voice. But your story was about lust and anger. You were lost and angry and not sure what you're going to do when you talk about the stage fight you had. There, your voice was a bit hyped when it shouldn't be. I would suggest that instead you implement more vocal variety with some pauses and a good pace. In a nutshell, you did an amazing job. Remember, you're a fantastic storyteller. The rhetorical devices you used were fabulous, and your key message was so meaningful. And don't forget, use your voice and body language correctly. Among various types of speakers, I see a great persuasive speaker in the making. Nelundi, I can assure that one day you will be a remarkable speaker that will stay in people's hearts. She took a step forward. So will you. Contestia, over to you.
Now let's give the judges 1 minute of silence to mark their ballots. One minute has now lapsed. We are admitting the next contestant now. Now let us welcome contestant number 4, Famida Faiz. Contestant, am I audible to you?
Yes, you are.
Can you see the timer's cards?
I can. Yes, I can.
Judges, are you ready?
Yes, madam.
Timer, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Contestant, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Contestant, now you can start your evaluation.
Let me take that first bold step and make an evaluation. Contest chair, ladies and gentlemen, and today's superhero. Nelundi, today your speech was inspiring, it was entertaining, and most importantly, it carried a very important message to the audience. To face a fear, you need to try. Now, throughout this speech, you managed to emerge as a superhero in various ways. The first thing that I loved about your speech is the use of vivid words. You had a keen sense of understanding to use those words to appeal to the senses of the audience, especially in the instance where you said, "My mouth was so dry, my heart was beating so fast," and you said, "The sea of the audience." Your words were so descriptive that we could almost see, hear, and feel what you were talking about. That was brilliant. The second thing that I loved about your speech was that you managed to use gestures to amplify your message, especially in the instance where you said, "Defeat stage fright," and you stood there holding the mic. And that gesture where you were shivering, you managed to take us there to that scenario. Now, as a speaker, our prime objective is to reduce the gap that we have between the speaker and the audience. And you managed to do that with your gestures. The third thing that I loved about your speech is that you managed to compare and contrast personalities that every single one of us know. You brought out Adele, you brought out Mahatma Gandhi, and you brought yourself. And you compared the difference and the abilities that each and every one of you all have, the fear that you all have. You took the audience to that scenario and made sure that they understood what was different and how they overcome it. Now, Nelundi, every single superhero requires the efforts and the advice of the sidekick. So let me be your sidekick and let me give you some points of recommendation which I think might add value to your speech. My first recommendation for you would be pausing. Now, there were certain instances where I felt you asked a question. For instance, like, do you know what the number one fear is? And then you went on to answer it saying, it's public speaking. I would prefer if you had a pause there so as to give the suspense and let the audience actually reflect. Wait, what's that sense? What's the first thing that we're all afraid of? Now, when you have that pause, that amplifies your message. Now, the second recommendation I have for you would be questions, especially at the latter part of your event. If you can add questions like, not everybody has fear of public speaking, but you do have some fear, don't you? Now, when you add questions like that, the audience is able to relate to you and they understand that even they have fears. In summation, Nelindi, you had a wonderful use of vivid words. You had a very good understanding to use your gestures to amplify your message. And you were able to compare and contrast people that we know. And you can take the speech to the next level by including pausing and by including questions. And with all that, the superhero that you are, and with the advice of the sidekick, you'll be able to rule any supervillains existing. Contest share.
Now, let's give the judges 1 minute of silence to mark the ballots. One minute has now elapsed. We are admitting the next contestant now. Now let us welcome contestant number 5, Raghavi Ratnarajan. Contestant, am I audible to you?
Yes, you are.
Can you see the timer's cards?
Yes, I can see.
Judges, are you ready?
Yes, madam.
Timer, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Contestant, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Contestant, now you can start your evaluation.
Some speeches leave a lingering effect on you even after it's delivered. Contestia, panel of judges, and my dear Nelundi Hera. We heard one such amazing speech from you, Nelundi. You nailed it by overcoming your stage fright today. Let me tell you what I loved in your speech. You had a good opening. You grabbed our attention by asking the question, what is your greatest fear? That created the curiosity in me, remembering my greatest fears of all. Next, you are an emotional roller coaster by delivering the stories of great personalities like Mahatma Gandhi, the great singer, how they overcome the stage fright. And also, you delivered your own personal story, which was very relatable to me, like how you had this fear of public speaking and then how you chose to overcome, practice days and days, and finally you were able to finish the speech and see the success. That's the spirit, Melody. Next thing, you gripped our hearts by creating vivid images in our mind by using your body language and hand gestures. Like my mouth dried out, Heart started to beat. My hands were shaking. Those added colors to your speech. Now, every speech is like an arc. The center and the body is held by two strong pillars, the opening and the conclusion. In your conclusion, you had a key message which was lined with your content. You said, first step is the hardest thing of everything. And when you take it, that becomes a piece of cake. Yes, that was a take-home message to us. Every speech can be taken to a greater level with some improvements. I would like to give you some suggestions like adding cherries to the cake. First thing, you can use more facial expressions and exaggerations like, I couldn't remember anything, my hands were shivering, and you can show that fear in your face. Second thing is the voice modulation. Show different voice like your Western music teacher asks you, Nelundi, do you want to do a speech? And when you're scared, use a low pitch. And when you're happy, use that bright smile and say, yes, I was able to finish the speech. With that summation, you are a great storyteller. You had a good opening. You created vivid images. You had a take-home message. Areas to improve is your facial expressions and your voice modulation. With this, you can take your speech to a greater level. Congratulations and all the very best for your future speeches, Nildi. You are a great speaker. Over to you, contest chair.
Now let's give the judges 1 minute of silence to mark their ballots. One minute has now lapsed. We are admitting the next contestant now. Now, let us welcome contestant number 6, Anuki Kotuegoda. Contestant, am I audible to you?
Yes.
Can you see the timer's cards?
Yes, I can see.
Judges, are you ready?
Yes, madam.
Timer, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Contestant, are you ready?
Yes.
Contestant, now you can start your evaluation.
Let me take one simple step forward and say, Nelundi, you did a great speech today. Contest chair, honorable judges, dear friends, and my dearest Nelundi. Let me elaborate 3 strengths I saw within your speech. First strength was your speech development. You had a very well developed speech. First, you chose a topic which we all can relate to as Gaveliers, and you had a very constructed opening and an end and a very constructed body. You had references from very famous people, and not only that, to support the purpose of your speech, you use a personal experience of yours. It made you appear really authentic. It made your speech really authentic. And your body was very well developed with rhetorical devices, such as rhetorical questions. Why do we all have stage fright? And you use alliterations. Fear his faces. You were marvelous in your speech development. The second strength was your body language. You had open arm body gestures. You said, I took the mic, step back, step forward, and hardly covered one page. You use your body gestures, your body language
really good in your speech. The third strength was your vocal variety. You articulated every word with precision. And what I noticed fantastic about your speech is how you varied your volume, not only your pitch, you varied your volume in your vocals. It was marvelous. Overall, Nelundi, your speech was like a freshly baked cupcake. It had all the good aroma, the freshness, and the right ingredients in it. To add the frosting on that cupcake, let me suggest you two recommendations. The first thing I recommend you to improve is your energy. I noticed that in the opening, you lack a bit of confidence in your speech. It's okay to have butterflies in your stomach, but just get them to fly in formation. You should be more energetic. You have a great gift in your speech to give us. You should be energetic to give us that speech. The second thing I recommend you to improve is your eye contact. At some points, I noticed that you were losing your eye contact with us. You have to engage with us by maintaining your eye contact. To sway an audience, you must watch them as you speak. Then it would be more great. In summation, Nelundi, your speech development was fantastic and your body gestures and your vocal variety was excellent. And communication works for those who work at it. So I hope you would improve your energy and your eye contact more. I'm pretty sure you can improve those. Then one day we would be able to see you in a Toastmasters World Championship finals. So I congratulate Nelundi for taking this big step forward. Today, over to you, contest chair.
Now let's give the judges 1 minute of silence to mark the ballots.
Madam, it has to be 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Okay, sir, 2 minutes. Now let's give the judges 2 minutes of silence to mark the ballots. The 2 minutes have now elapsed. Judges, do you want a separate breakout room for the final decisions?
Please go ahead, madam. You can go ahead with your
Okay, sir. Ladies and
voice is
gentlemen.
breaking. You can go ahead, madam.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, We are at the end of this magnificent contest. As said before, the winners of this competition will be announced at the grand finale, which happens today at 1 p.m. So, if you're joining us through YouTube, please make sure that you join the Facebook live session at 1 p.m. If you didn't receive the link yet, it will be live streamed in the Facebook page of Gavel Club, University of Colombo. There, you can witness 12 more humorous speeches, and at the end, the winners of this competition and the humorous speech competition will be announced. Out of these brilliant speakers, if you want to know who won, make sure you join in the afternoon. With that said, we have come to an end of the final rounds of evaluation category. I'm Nipuni signing off, hoping to see you again soon. Till then, take care. Contestant, you can leave the meeting now.